So, all over the YouTube, on the internet, is the case of the Ohio dentist murder case. And it gets many, many, many more views all over the world than the murders in Iran. And you wonder why do the lives of a dentist and his wife are worth more than the life of thousands of people being killed in Iran. That's how life is. The worth of a life, how much a life is worth, right? Is determined by your location. They're American, first of all. He's a dentist, for second of all. And this makes headlines because the accused is her husband. Her accused is her husband. This guy. Where is he? Where is this despicable person? This one. Now, why is this guy getting more attention than the mass murderer of Iran, the leader of Iran, executing, 800 people? And now he says he's not going to execute them. And he already killed thousands of people, amongst them children. This gets more attention. So I want to look at this guy, and I'll tell you some things that no crime channel has told you, if you follow crime channels, which I think is also despicable. There's something very despicable in the internet that people make profits. They even sell merchandise, hats, and T-shirts for crime channels. Why are people so fascinated with crime? For me, it just makes me feel, thank God it didn't happen to me or my loved ones. And I am curious to make sure that there's justice done, but that's it. I'm not interested in too many details, and they'll give you so many details that you don't want to know, but important details. This guy was adopted. So why is this important? Not to sabotage adoptions, but there is a problem with adoptions from Russia, East Europe. A lot of times people want babies that are fair-skinned, blue-eyed, and they go to Russia. What happens is the kids that are put up for adoptions from Russia, I also know from speaking to somebody who had an experience like this, the children, the babies that are being placed for adoption are often the children of people that are alcoholics, drug addicts, and that's all over the Western world. But these Russian babies, they have a really bad case of babies' alcohol syndrome. And that means they're going to have a lot of temper tantrums, a lot of rage. Now, he didn't have this. But since he's adopted, we don't know who the parents are. And there is a DNA correlation between people who murder others and their children, and there is some link. Sorry to say to those who believe that children are pure and they're born without any tendencies, DNA does play a factor. And when you adopt, it is Russian roulette. And if this guy looks like he's from Russia, Belarusia, Poland, and who knows what his parents did, if they were either criminals or they were alcoholics, and that's why he behaves the way he does, which is to murder in cold blood his ex-wife, whom he abused, and her husband. And the fact that he is not able to form relationships. Now, as a person who has tough luck with human relations as well, because of my background, because I didn't come from a nice family, nothing bad has been said about his adoptive family, but he doesn't have any contact with them, which says something. And also the way he, in 10 years, hasn't been able to form a relationship. and then he has to go after his ex-wife after 10 years and murder her. That's very bizarre. Second thing I want to point out, which might seem minor but is connected to my channel, is dogs. The dog of the family was a Labradoodle. Apparently doesn't bark, doesn't give warning, definitely doesn't defend the family. So when you have a family, you live in a house in America or anywhere, you want to keep your family safe, you get a dog that barks. And now I realize that in hindsight, it was smart to have this dog. I had a very small dog who always barked and was protective. Sometimes small dogs can do the job, but a Labradoodle will not protect your family for sure. A bark, the warning is essential. If these people had woken up, maybe he had the murder victims had weapons to defend themselves, they would have been aware. So the barking of a dog to all those people who get evicted, like I got evicted because my dog was barking, no. You need the dog to bark, and you need maybe a dog like I have. So I have, by chance, I adopted a livestock guardian dog. Apparently, she is a Maremma, or she is a type of dog, and also Knani. She's a mixture. Knan dog are from the Middle East. All dogs are from the Middle East, by the way, and they're very protective. They're very protective, and people complain. I see it all the time in the Facebook group. Oh, the dog is barking. Oh, the dog is protective of my children. Stupid people. The dog is doing their job. So if you want to get a job, especially if you have young children, you get a dog that can protect your family. And as I said, sometimes the small dogs who bark can do it, but mostly you need a large dog who can scare away. You don't get a small dog. You don't get a Shih Tzu. You don't get a poodle. You get a large dog or a small dog that barks. The barking mechanism is essential. So these two things, and you adopt. You don't buy, because many reasons, karma. But the dog is very grateful. They get adopted, and they will protect your family against despicable monsters like this guy. So these are what I have to say. That they're missing the point that this guy may have had in his DNA problems, nothing to do with the relationship he had in the marriage. This man may have problems forming relationships, and maybe the abuse is genetic because of his background. So this is something, to bring in mind. So he murdered in cold blood, and they have all these experts. And of course, I wanted to say again, I really feel bad for these people. They're amazing people. I mean, I heard she's a wonderful mother. She was a wonderful mother. Not this one, sorry. This is her ex-husband that she was married to 7 months. And then, sorry, that was the wrong photo. And then she married this other guy. Let me see. So he was abusive to her. And then he went over to her house and entered in the middle of the night. I don't know how he managed to do it, but he was apparently a very intelligent person that unfortunately used his intelligence in the wrong way. So the 4 points I'm going over are: why is a murder in Ohio of a couple gets more attention, more attention, more experts, more people around the world watching these crime videos than thousands of people being massacred in Iran. Second of all, sometimes people's behavior comes from the DNA. They have a predisposition for violent behavior. And the third thing is, when you get a dog that can protect your family. And barking might save your family one day. And to all those who evict people because the dog is barking, the dog is protecting not only the family, but the entire building. So that's what I have to say about those complaining about dogs barking. Get a dog that can protect your family. And it's a very tragic story, but it will be getting many more views than Iran. And that's very sad that, all living beings, their lives should all be worth the same, and it's not. So have